Hey everybody, what's up? It's Joel, aka The Daily Guru, and today I'm going to finally get to one of my favorite genres that I've yet to represent well on Gabbing with the Guru. With me today is Kat Tingum, who is an indie electronic artist making some of the most amazingly unique and intriguing music you've ever heard. We're going to sit down and talk for a bit, and then we're going to play you one of her songs. So, what kind of music did you listen to when you were growing up?
A musical theater, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Barbra Streisand. I've come quite a ways in a different direction. Yeah.
How did you end up then starting in musical theater and listening to things like Barbra Streisand and end up with working in electronic music?
Well, I went to college. I got a degree in musical theater, actually, and then I moved out to New York. I started doing the musical theater calls.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. I just discovered electronic music, and I fell in love with it.
So you had no real exposure to electronic music before you arrived in New York?
No, actually, yeah.
What was it that, drew you in so quickly?
When I started, I got a music software writing program, and I started working on that, and I realized like how much you can do on your own. Like going on musical theater calls, you're at the behest of somebody else, that you may or may not get this role, but here it's like, oh, I can produce this on my own and have all the control. It's really fun to have that shift. I just love 9 Inch Nails and Radiohead and kind of came into that darker music.
Sure, because there's definitely a darker tone running through the music that you create. Is that purposeful? Or is that just whenever you start creating, that's kind of where it ends up?
Yeah, I guess it's probably more purposeful. I guess I'm just drawn to kind of the darker side of music and finding a way to express something I can't otherwise express in day-to-day life.
Electronic music it's a terrible catch-all name because there's such a wide range of sounds within electronic music. Is there a specific style that you prefer to listen to, that you prefer to create?
I guess I'm working in a lot of different genres, so I'm taking a little bit from dubstep and drum and bass, and also kind of experimental, trying to bring it all together to create kind of my own little brand. And I also do like the idea of bringing in musical theater into what I do, which sounds really weird.
They're pretty far apart on the spectrum.
Yeah, I like the idea of musical theater, how it tells a story, and I kind of want to meld the two together. So I guess when I write my lyrics, I like to have a story behind each one, and maybe people don't actually hear that, but that's where I'm coming from. What's
your creative process like? I mean, do you have a specific idea you're going to write about, or do you come up with the music first?
Yeah, I start out with video tutorials on how to write different music pieces. Recently I did one on learning how to do a talking bass. So I spent an hour learning how to do that, and then I thought, well, why don't I try to turn this into a song? And then I just sort of build on that. So every song that I write is kind of a new concept I'm learning. It's kind of a way to expand on what I learned and then turn it into something. Then I also have like books and books of lyrics that span all the way back to high school.
Sure.
So I mine through that and try to pair it with what I've written musically.
When you talk about the production that goes into it, electronic music kind of gets a bad rep in general, that it's somehow inauthentic or that it's so artificial. What are your general thoughts on people who, for lack of a better term, for people who hate on the electronic genre?
With electronic music, you have to put a sort of humanity into it. That's kind of what I'm trying to do with what I'm writing, is to bring maybe a storyline behind it, or adding vocals in that are very humanistic, that are emotional and emotive. I think without emoting, it just becomes a lot of electronic noise coming at you at once.
Sure.
And it might not have meaning to people.
Do you have, because you do have the vocals in every single song, do you have specific singers who kind of inspired you to do that particular style?
Yeah, I really love How to Destroy Angels. Is Amanda Mary Queen.
Yeah.
I really love her vocal quality, how it's so still, and you've got all this crazy electronic music behind it that has this great undertow, and she's got this really, it's very emotive, but it's also very still and calming.
What is your favorite part about working within electronic music and doing what you do?
I love those moments where you can find that raw expression in what you're doing, because a lot of working with electronic music and production, you can spend hours trying to get the right sounds, but once you get past all that and you can just work and get into the groove, it's really freeing and exciting. So
where do you look for inspiration other than other artists in these online videos? What inspires you to write and create?
I would say there's a lot of artists that do like glitch art and interactive multimedia performance that I'm really into. I love Laurie Anderson, and she's not necessarily only a musician, she does all these art projects. I love how she has this vast knowledge of all these different ideas that she can bring together. Currently, I'm working with this group. They're the Volumetric Society, and they do electronics and music and kind of how that comes together. We work with this mind wave that takes the waves of your brain and can translate that into actual visuals. I've been working with this patch with Max MSP. It's a software program. The excitement level of my brain can change the pitch of a keyboard, and how do we incorporate that into a live performance? I think I get really inspired by the interactive qualities.
And where do you see yourself going with the music?
I would love to work on a musical that is also electronic. So I have this idea right now that I've started on to do a modern translation of Dante's Inferno as an electronic musical. And some of the music that I've written is already kind of falling into place for that. But I'd like to take that and realize it on a stage.
And the other interesting thing I found is that electronic music is far more prominent on places like SoundCloud, where it seems people who work under the umbrella of electronic are more like, I'm not so concerned about getting paid for this, just here, have the sounds. Do you find that to be similar within the genre?
That might be a way electronic music is going to, where it's no longer a commodity that you pay for, but it might be more something we all share. Something that's really cool about the electronic music community is that people just share these videos. So I've learned how to do everything just from watching tutorials that people just put up for free. I think that's amazing, this culture that we all, instead of trying to keep it all to ourselves, we want to give it out.